So this was the next thing where I was like, bro, this is next. So we got a little envelope here, and it's got a wax seal on there with the emblem that's on the cover of your book.
Yep.
Oh my god. And I was opening this and I was like, well, I don't want to get the wax seal, so I got my trusty sword letter opener. Yep.
It's great. It's one of those wonderful things about the author community, especially the indie author community, is we're all like, yeah, go for it, dude. Use it. Like, go, succeed. Let's go.
Right.
When you succeed, we all succeed. Let's go, bro.
A little while ago, I had the distinct pleasure of talking with debut author Z.S. Diamanti. At least, he was debut at the time. His first book, Stone in the Sky, was the only book that he had out at the time that we talked. But as of today, the day I'm putting this video out, his second book, Stone and Tide, is also out. Despite being new, he's already dove full-time into being an author, and let me tell you, he's doing so many things right. I love all his social media posts, I love his vibe, I love talking with him, I love the vibe of the book too, very Warcraft reminiscent with these griffin riders, and we've got orcs on wyverns, love it. And I absolutely loved the bookmail he sent me. So let's get into this chat, let's get to know Zach, and let me show you all the goodies he sent me. Hello, my friends. So, I recently received the coolest piece of bookmail that I got in all of 2023. It may look like a somewhat unassuming box, but I'm telling you, there are treasures in here. It was so cool. There were some things in here that I kind of expected. Of course, a book, duh, right? But there were some things that I did not expect, and it was super neat opening it. So I'm going to open it and show you everything that was inside. But before I do that, I want to talk to you, the man who gave me this wonderful treasure box, Mr. Z.S. Diamanti. How you doing, Zach?
Hey man, how's it going? I'm doing great. I'm you saw I had my coffee. I'm ready to go.
Amped up. Good.
I'm like amped up and ready. Yeah.
It's perfect. So Zach, this is your first novel, Stone and Sky. Saw you on Twitter saying you'd love to talk to other people, and I was psyched to talk to you. And then we got into talk, and you were like, "You want to copy the book?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, man! Your cover looks awesome. I want to copy."
Yeah. Yes, please.
Right? No. So this is super cool. I very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah,
tell us about the book.
Yeah, man. So, Stone and Sky is, yeah. Look at that beauty. I got pretty good at those autographs too. I was like, I'm getting pretty good at this now.
Very nice.
No, but Stone and Sky. It's about a Griffin rider who is part of the Griffin Guard, and he's the lone surviving member of his squadron who is all killed, and he ends up being rescued and recovered by this huntsman's family, and they end up going on an adventure to try and get him home back to Whitestone and get him back in the fight against the wyvern riding orcs of the north, which is super cool. And then of course they go on an adventure, and it doesn't all go the way they think it's going to go, and they find out that the orcs have more secrets than they were expecting. So it gets really cool. We got orcs and dwarves and elves and griffins, and just like all the fun stuff. Griffins, right. Wyverns. We got Pegasi riding elves. We've got these creatures called Garvox, which are like these panthers with like giant bat-like wings and stuff that the dwarves ride. Oh yeah, everybody gets to fly.
Very nice. But it just occurred to me as you were kind of talking about this, I would be very surprised if you're not a Warcraft fan.
Oh, I mean, come on, who isn't?
Nice. Yeah, definitely giving me some Warcraft vibes there in a wonderful way.
Yeah, I just set up. So I just signed a contract with my audiobook narrator, who's going to do the whole trilogy, which is epic. So exciting. He's like awesome.
Nice.
And one of the questions he asked me was when he was doing the samples, he was like, "Hey, I see that you got the orcs in here. What's up with the orcs? Like, how should I sound? Like, should I sound like Lord of the Rings style? Should I sound like, or should we go like Warcraft style?" And I was like, "Dude, you know what I'm talking about. Let's go."
Nice.
And he totally nailed them.
That's cool. Oh, so you've already, he's got like the voices set already?
Oh, dude, yeah. We've got another meeting this Friday because he's been reading through it.
Yeah.
Practicing all his voices. He's like writing down anything that he needs to, like, hey, maybe I need to,
yeah.
How do you say that again? Like,
yeah.
Pronounce that for me,
Get his
kind of thing.
pronunciation guide. Right.
So it's, that part's really exciting.
That's so cool. That's neat. Did you play like the old RTS Warcraft, or did you play World of Warcraft, or both?
And so I never got to WoW. I played Warcraft with my brothers when we were younger, so did a lot of that. But I never got to the WoW because by that time I was working 2-3 jobs trying to like, it was crazy. So
yeah, no. Honestly, you're better off. It was it was wonderful, but like it took over my life. So
takes over your life. Yeah.
I was at college at the time, and I was actually studying to do like game development for a while.
Yeah.
And the professors there, like they knew this was coming out, and they knew what it was, and they're like, "Don't do it, guys. Don't do it. Don't do it." You know. And I was like, "No, I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be fun." That was like, it took over.
Everything.
Yes.
I mean, I know people who met each other and got married through WoW. You know, like I know people who had spent years in WoW and were like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know where those years went." Right? So I mean, you know, it's true. You gotta be careful. All things in moderation, right?
Yes. All right, so let's talk about your awesome Bookmail. Yeah, I got the box and I was like, this is cool. You got this wonderful little unboxings. They're so much fun. And it definitely was fun. So I've already opened this, and at some point I'll post somewhere the video of like opening it, but I want to go through everything kind of opening it again.
Yeah.
So of course, little like business card, right? Little check, join the Griffin Guard, it says on this side. Got your name. Love it. Little bookmark. Love it.
Gotta have a good bookmark.
Right? Right?
And those ones printed so solid. I was like, ooh, I like this.
These I mean, yeah, very nice.
I was pretty happy.
Got some couple stickers. Cool. Who doesn't like some stickers, you know?
Who doesn't want Griffin stickers, right?
That's right. Yeah. Then we started to get, you know, so all the, like, you know, all right, some stickers, some bookmarks, like, cool, good stuff. But, like, you know, expected, right? Maybe, you know. But then, first of all, certificate of authenticity.
Yes.
Right? Authentic signed copy here. Fantastic. Oh, from the Library of Whitestone, which is in your world, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Clever.
And it's at the bottom, it's signed by Mistress Lintz, who is the headmistress at the Library of Whitestone. So
I see what you're doing there.
Yeah.
This was the first one this was the first thing that really I was like, oh, nice. You sent me a copy of all the Prelude stories.
Yeah.
That was unexpected and super cool. So thank you for this to begin with.
You got it, man.
I already read through a couple of these. Really enjoyed them. Thank you. And of course, signed here again. Onward to Wonder. I like your
Let's go, man.
Like, love it.
It's all about, hey, man, we've lost the sense of wonder so much in this world, and it's just like, dude, let's go have fun. Let's go and wonder and wander. Let's go.
All right. Not all who wander are lost.
Let's go.
So this was the next thing where I was like, bro, this is next. So we got a little envelope here, and it's got a wax seal on there with the emblem that's on the cover of your book.
Yep.
Oh my god! And I was opening this, and I was like, well, I don't want to get the wax seal, so I got my trusty sword, letter opener. Yep.
I've recently gotten boxes from other authors because we're doing a lot of book swaps and stuff.
Sure.
And I've recently gotten boxes where they've done it with a wax seal, and I'm like, oh man, now I know what everybody else feels like when they're trying to open mine without ripping it or breaking it.
Right? No, I'm like, I was glad that I was able to keep that, because that wax seal is so cool. I mean, what fantasy nerd is not cool. Like, oh, wax seal, you know? So I open it up and I get a map of your world, which is awesome. And then on the other side, you hand wrote a little note just for me.
Yeah. And hand drew the map just for you. No, that was printed after I hand drew. I hand drew the original, and then we printed that one.
Which is like, I mean, that's pretty amazing too. I don't I couldn't do this, man. I don't have the visual art skills, you know?
Well, you might be surprised. It's not as hard. It's like not as bad as you think. I actually have videos on my YouTube channel
Yeah.
about
Right.
how to draw the mountains and how to draw trees and how to make, epic classic style fantasy maps like that.
Love it.
And it's not as bad as you think. However, I will warn you, trees take forever. Everybody asked me like, "Oh, how long did it take you to draw that map?" And I'm like 4 days. Except for it also took me like 3 weeks because I drew trees for like 3 weeks. I'd be sitting on the couch while my wife is watching something, just drawing trees.
Just drawing trees. Pro tip, make your forest small, guys. That's what I'm getting right. So, but then the last thing I was like, bro, this is just next level. You've got a recipe card for recipes that are in your stories.
Yeah.
What?
So,
what?
So maybe I was just hungry, or maybe I'm just always hungry when I'm writing. But I'm always writing food into these books, and I love it. What epic fantasy? Like every epic fantasy needs some good food and feasts and other good things in there.
Honey bread and some goblin stew, Kig stew.
Yeah. Kig is one of the goblins in the book, and Etchlin is the elven honey bread, which one of the characters, Merrick, when he gets to go to the elven city of Lorelith, they serve him honey bread, and he's like, "Whoa, like this is legit." And actually, that honey bread is bomb. By the way, it is so good.
Did you where did I've thought of bookmarks before, right?
Yeah,
I've never thought of a recipe card to give to this is so cool. How did you think of this? And this recipe, I'm sure I could go out and make that. You got all the steps here. This is a legit recipe, right?
It's a legit recipe. Yep. It's funny because I went through several rounds of editing, right? Because I want to make sure we're putting out the best book we can, right? And I went through several rounds of editing, and the comments I got from every single editor, at least once from every editor, was like, "Oh man, that sounds delicious. Like we should is there a recipe for this?" And I was like, "Dude, we got to make a recipe for it. Nice. Let's figure it out." And so I was like, "We got to put recipes together. It'll be great." And you know what? Maybe there might be more in the next book. Book. And those ones are legit. You're welcome. I had a baker the other day hit me up on TikTok. And she said she made the bread, she made the stew, and she said both recipes are making it into their regular rounds.
Wow.
And their regular menu. And I was like, nice. She's like, I'm a professional baker and this is great. And I was like, all right, here we go.
So did you develop as a recipe kind of like a riff on a family recipe or something?
Yeah, so we kind of played around with a few different ones to find one that we really liked, and then we added things and really tested it out, and we're like, oh, this is good.
This is the one. Nice.
This is good. This is gonna
nice. Work. Okay, hang on just a second.
You got it.
Just realized I had that fan on down there, so.
Oh, I couldn't even hear it. You were doing great.
Okay, all right, and I'm gonna do this, and we're good. So yeah, man, this box blew me away. Thank you. Made me feel awesome and very special receiving this really cool book mail.
Of course, man.
Where did you get all these ideas for it all, man?
I realized that I was a brand new author, and nobody knew me from Adam, and I was building an audience. I was building an author platform, but nobody knew who I was. All my previous work was, short stories, articles, essays, all sorts of different things. I sold one poem at one point, random miscellaneous things. So I didn't have this singular body of work that everybody, people recognize or know me for,
sure.
Right? So I was like, okay, let's you know what, let's just make this as special as we can. And I was like, we're going to come up with these great PR boxes that I can send to, different book talkers and other people that I've connected with over time. And let's make something awesome. And then I was like, you know what? I kind of want to send these out like for all the signed copies if people will order them. And so we did a couple of extra things special for the pre-orders and for the PR boxes, which, we plan to do special things for Stone and Tide as well for pre-orders and PR boxes. But everything else is almost the same, right? There was those couple extra things, but everything else is the same. And we just wanted it to be a special experience for people, right? Because it is just so much fun to open a book in the mail. And I thought, what if we could just make that even more fun?
Yeah.
And, I connected up with another author on TikTok. His name is Otto Schaefer, and he does autograph boxes as well. And so I got a couple ideas from him. And since then, he's gotten a couple ideas from me, and we're kind of bouncing off of each other. It's great. It's one of those wonderful things about the author community, especially the indie author community, is we're all like, yeah, go for it, dude. Use it. Like, go succeed. Let's go.
Yeah, right.
When you succeed, we all succeed. Let's go, bro. So it's, it was a lot of bouncing around ideas. My wife said some of the ideas were stupid, so we didn't use those ones.
Sounds like my wife.
Or I really liked one and I fought for it, and then she was like, okay, it's not as bad as I thought. Right. So,
yeah. Nice. That's rad. Yeah, I love that about the author community too. And I've already told you that I'm totally stealing some of your ideas here.
Do it.
Right. I mean, especially, the wax seal. I saw that once before too, and it's just it just adds that kind of a fantasy air and everything. I love it.
And it's kind of fun too. Like, I mean, you're over there, you got a candle, and you're like melting wax, and you're like pouring it on and stamping it. And you're like, this is so cool. Who am I? Like,
right. What other job does
am I in
we
a
get
castle?
to do that?
Like, where am I?
Yes. I love what you're talking about, the boxed autograph copies. And I know that you're doing some different cool things, and you're doing lots of different marketing. I want to get into some of that, but before we get into that, you've mentioned to me that you've had to be creative with some of your marketing and some of your past work, but also you were in the Air Force for a while, and you were also a pastor. So I'm imagining the creative marketing wasn't so much in the Air Force.
No, not as much. No, while I was in the Air Force, I was Air Force medical, so that job was pretty straightforward. And you go to Afghanistan, you do your job. You come home, you do your job. So that was pretty straightforward. But no, while I was in ministry, I did all sorts of different things. I got to do missionary work, and help stand up a missionary organization in Quebec, which was really cool. And when COVID happened, it was, the whole world changed, especially in ministry, and so you kind of had to change the way we kind of looked at everything. How do we reach people now? How do we encourage them and help them and serve them, right? How do we serve their needs if we don't even, we have no connection with them anymore? So we had to get really creative after that. And a lot of my illustration and graphic design background kind of came back into play there, and on top of that, video and everything else started. Right. Everything kind of just avalanched on top, right? So it was an interesting time, and I'm grateful for it because, man, I learned so many interesting, nuanced, niche skills that I wouldn't have used until now.
Right. Very cool. So is minister still kind of your day job right now?
Nope. So I actually quit my job last September. So last September I quit my job, and Stone and Sky came out August 29th. So 2 days before September. And so it came out exactly 1 year after I quit my job. And so I quit my job to pursue writing and to pursue this with every intention, right?
Yeah.
And dude, let me assure you, sitting on Stone and Sky, it was done and ready like in December. And
oh, really? Oh, wow. Dude, wow.
Sat and I waited and waited and waited and waited and didn't release it until August 29th. And oh man, let me tell you, some days I was ready to like, no, I'm doing it. I'm hitting the button. I'm doing it because I can't take it anymore.
I can't
right?
wait. Yeah.
I'm doing all this work and nobody I have nothing
knows.
to show for
yeah.
it. Like,
yeah.
and it's just, it was so difficult, but the patience, man, it totally paid off.
Wow. Okay. All right. Tell me your secrets, sir. How, like, you quit your job in September,
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
you had your first book done by December, so you cranked out your first book in 3 months. What is your process like? And are you like a wizard? What is going on here?
Yeah, I prefer the term page mage, but whatever. Thank you very much. No,
that's going in my thumbnail. Gonna put a wizard hat on
good.
you.
Too good. Page
right?
Anyway, my bad. Sorry. It's really
perfect,
so good.
Perfect. Perfect.
No, so in fairness, Stone and Sky, the first draft was done when I quit my job. And so that one, I had written. It took me probably 2 years while I was doing full-time work, and it was crazy, right? So it took me a couple
super
years.
Brief. You have kids too. How old are your kids?
I've got 4. Yeah, they are 16 down to 11. We had 4 and 5 years. We went crazy. We were like, let's not pick that. The way we saw it was like, hey, every time we have another one, that 18-year clock restarts, and then we got to retire later. So it was like, let's just knock them out. Like, let's just
get them all out.
Right,
there you go.
right. So my oldest is 16, and we've been driving around. He drove me to the post office today to drop off more boxes because we're practicing, right?
Nice, yeah.
But no, Stone and Sky was essentially done. It just needed to go through editing phases, right? And I do 3 rounds of editing, and then we do like a proofread for formatting issues or whatever. It might have made it into the book, right?
Do you make your kids do the proofreading? Be like, listen, you better find the errors.
No. Although my son is chomping at the bit to get book 2, Stone and Tide, because he's like,
that's cool.
Dad, when is mom going to be done with it? Because she does the final proofread just to find the formatting things. So it was that Stone and Sky was a labor and a process to get done. And so that one actually took a while, but Stone and Tide took me about 2 months of active writing, and it was like a month on, and then it was like almost a month off, and then another month on. Because we ran into, it was the summertime, and anybody who's got kids, you know how it is during the summer. You get to doing things as a family, and so we had ran into that. Plus, I had Stone and Sky coming out August 29th, which is right after the summer, and it was my first like full-length novel, and I was like, I gotta like really go hard and make sure I get this right and do it right. So there was a lot going on. So, but it took me about a little bit over 2 months, I think, to write the entirety of Stone and Tide. And then, of course, going through the editing process. First, we go through developmental edits. That'll take me another couple weeks. Then we go through line edits, and that takes another couple weeks. And then we go through final edits, and that is, again, another few weeks. So, so it's a process, obviously. It's longer than 2 months, right?
Sure.
Frankly, I thought I was writing. I've been breezing through book 3 as well. I wrote 60,000 words in the first month. I was like, all right, cool. We're crushing this.
Page mage.
Then, page mage. That's right. That's gonna stick. You may now all call me Page Mage. Thank you very much. But I was cruising through that, and then I had a conference. I went to 20 Books Vegas, and I went out there, had a great time meeting other authors, other TikTok authors and stuff like that I knew, but getting to meet them in real life, which was great. And I came back, I mean, sick as a dog. I mean, so sick. Just like horrible, like chest, like
Con
nasal.
crud.
It was horrible, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, horrible.
Yeah.
This one was the worst I ever got. It had me out for like 2.5 weeks, like done, like bedridden. Like,
do you know if it was COVID or?
Yeah, it's possible.
Okay,
I survived. I'm not sure. I was
thankfully not
pretty
undead page mage. Good. Yeah.
Right. I was mostly in my room, so there was not much going on. Yeah. I was watching Star Trek and X-Files. Like, I mean, I was literally in there the whole time. Yeah. And finally, I was like, okay, I think I'm alive, and just trying to get the energy to back up to, catch up on all the business side of the authoring thing and all the social media side of all the authoring thing. And then it's like, oh my goodness. And so I've slowly been getting back into the writing routine. Yeah. And I was actually talking with S.L. Rowland earlier. If you guys don't know him, he does A Sentence to Troll, Cursed Cocktails, and some other books like that. But he had the same thing, and it sounds like we're both kind of tracking, like, oh yeah, we're feeling it's coming back, everything's ready to go.
I remember how to do this.
I remember how to life. It's been a process, but I will say I was on track to knock that one out in 2 months. Oh well, what are you gonna do? Life happens.
Right.
But that one's coming out in June. So book 2, Stone and Tide, is coming out February 6th. People can pre-order autographed copies right now.
Nice.
And of course, pre-orders is where people get the extra goodies in there. But then the third book, the final in the trilogy, is coming out June 4th. I think it's the right day.
Nice.
4th. It's the first week of June. So
nice.
Yeah. So we're cruising along, man.
Briefly.
Yeah.
If you could, try not to like tap your mic stand on your desk.
Oh, did I tap it? Yeah, my bad.
No, you're good. You're good. All right. I am so jealous, man. That is insane. Like the fact that you're cranking them out that fast. I mean, to be fair, I'm gonna throw my daughter under the bus because I've got a 2.5-year-old, and like I feel like, writing might be a little bit easier if I didn't have a 2.5-year-old. But
yeah, we're in a little bit different season. Everybody goes to school. Everybody has their things, so they got their sports and stuff.
Right? Yeah. Bedtime's not a 2-hour routine.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Please go to bed. Yeah, I remember those years.
Yeah. But that's insane, dude. Good job. Yeah, page mage for sure. Like,
I'll take it. I love it.
Wow. Yeah. So you're the Stone and Sky is planned as a trilogy, and I guess you've already got planned to have the third book come out in June next year. Not to get ahead of ourselves, but I'm going to get ahead of ourselves. Like, do you have like plans for books that you're going to write after that, and how like how many books do you have like planned that you're like, okay, these are all solid ideas that I want to really actually execute?
A lot more than I should.
I'm sitting on 12, and like that feels like good. I'm like, how at the rate I write, I'm going to be dead. So
Yeah, right. This will keep me going forever.
Yeah.
So I've got plans for other trilogies in the world of Stone and Sky, in the world of Finlestia, and I'm really excited about some of those. I've got ideas for some really well premised out books already for that. Nice. I've got some standalone books that I'm looking at doing, and I learned. You're always learning, right? So I learned through the process of doing this series that I would like, it's not that I necessarily need it, but I would like for myself to have a palate cleanser in between each book in the series, right? So
interesting.
I've kind of learned from this process that, it'd be nice if I could write, this one-off here in between book 1 and 2, or a one-off here in between book 2 and 3. Or, and then I don't even have to do that. Maybe it's a different trilogy that I'm working on at the same time, where I work on book 1, and then I'll work on book 3 of this trilogy in here before book 2, right? Just something to kind of mix it up. My brain is wired so much that I like to jump around and go and explore and experience these places. And yeah, you get it. So I'm strategizing to do, like a one-off, and then start the next trilogy, and then maybe throw a different one-off in there or whatever.
Nice.
In between them. And so I've got several one-offs that I'm planning, maybe even some cozy fantasy ideas that could be really fun in the world of Finlastia.
Nice.
And then I've got
coffee shops are so big right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I have at least 3 pretty developed in my mind and in my notes, at least 3 trilogies that I know I want to write in the world of Finlastia.
Oh,
and
wow.
then I've got several planned series outside of that as well. So
nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's loaded.
Right. Yeah, you're gonna have to keep being that page mage to get them all out.
Yeah, that's right. Gotta get them out somehow.
Right. Okay, so Stone and Sky, since its release in the August of this year, 2023, you've got first place at the Book Fest and American Writing Awards for fantasy. Well done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yep. Have you, we talked a little bit about, you played Warhammer Warcraft back in the day. I don't know if you played Warhammer. Maybe you played Warhammer too. But anyway.
I dabbled a little when I was young.
Yeah. But yeah, so I take it you've always been a fantasy nerd a little bit.
Totally.
But was there a moment where you're like, have you always been writing? Clearly you decided to kind of make a decision and be like, I'm jumping with both feet into making a career out of a writer.
Right.
What was kind of the trigger for that decision, and then how long have you been writing, and how has everything been leading up to that?
Sure, yeah. So when I was a kid, I didn't have glasses, but I really needed them, and so I actually was really I didn't think I could read. I thought I was dumb actually as a kid, because I would read the same line over and over and over and over, and I was like, why can't I read the next line? Come to find out, I needed glasses, right? And so I eventually joined the Air Force, and they were like, dude, you need glasses, bro. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, wow, I can read that. This is wonderful. Is this what everybody can see? Right? So it was so funny. I just started devouring everything I could get my hands on. I jumped into the classics like Edgar Rice Burroughs, like John Carter of Mars, the great stuff from the old times, right? And which is why some of my language gets edited during the editing process, because they're like, dude, this word is, nobody uses this word. This was like 100 years ago, bro. Like, stop. It's like 150 years ago. What's wrong with you? So some of those get edited out. You're welcome, everyone. I'll thank my editors for you. But so when I was a kid, though, a teacher eventually handed me The Hobbit, and of course, just absolute classic fantasy.
Yes.
It's just a fantasy adventure of fun and just daring stakes and excitement, and I was thrilled. I was enthralled, dude. Even though I had to read lines over and over and over, I just read through the whole thing. I couldn't help myself. And of course, I wrote my first story after that a couple days later, called The Flobbit. Very original. I know. Now remember, I was a kid. Please remember.
No. Yeah. I get it.
But The Flobbit, it was very original, about this little monkey who went on an adventure. So anyway, so that's really where everything started. No, everything really started once I got glasses, and I was like, oh, yes, finally.
Right.
And I really got to get into stories. And while I was in the Air Force, I went to Afghanistan. I was deployed to Afghanistan and came back different, like everybody else. And
having read a ton of stuff.
Yeah, came back different, like everybody else. And there was a need for me to express myself in a way that wasn't drawing.
Oh, okay.
And because drawing was my mode before, but I needed a way to express myself differently. And I turned to writing. I started writing articles and nonfiction pieces and, horror stories and poetry, even, sci-fi stories. And I was selling stories, and I was like, maybe this is something I could do. And, eventually I was like, okay, this has been going pretty well. I've been wanting to write a book. I've been wanting to write books forever, but it was always like something in front of me that I was like, I don't know. Could I do that? Because, there's that little kid in me thinking, you're too dumb to do that, right? Like, you can't even read, right? Well, not so much. And if anybody's seen my library in my TikTok videos or whatever, I read a lot now, so we're good.
That little kid would think Page Mage Zach is so cool, right?
Right? Yeah, no joke.
Nice. Well, that's cool, and that's interesting too. Like the way two things. Fans of the show will remember my friends Julian and Jeremy. And Jeremy went to Afghanistan. Afghanistan also, and he's found writing to be a great way to kind of process a little bit and express himself. And Julian's done a lot of article writing, and he's also been like, what's great about fiction? I can write happy endings,
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah. And Stone and Sky, though, the theme of Stone and Sky is hope, right? And coming together. People from different worlds coming together, essentially, and like overcoming this like belief that we're enemies. We're all enemies, right? So it's obviously the military life plays a big role in our writing.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. So I mentioned earlier that I wanted to get into talking about your marketing, and so you mentioned your TikTok and your library. But one of the things that I've seen you do on your Instagram, I'm not on TikTok. I need to get on TikTok, but I've seen you do on your Instagram, I love, is you do the wonderful boxes for your autograph set, right? But then you have these maps, and you go and kind of put a pin where everywhere you've sent out the autograph box, and you keep like kind of upping the ante with the map. At first you're like, I want to get every state, right? And then you're like, cool, I got every state. I want to get every capital. And like, right. And then you've added the Canadian map also. I just love the way you do it. It's such like, it's neat content. It's engaging, and but it makes me also like invested in your book sales,
Right, sure. And I'm like, whatever. If people want to know how my book sales are going, great. Here you go.
Yeah,
I don't care. Sure. You want to know? Fine. It's not like I'm out there. I haven't bought my island home yet, so whatever. Right?
No Brandon Sanderson underground layer yet. Yeah.
I don't have people like sliding stacks of books for me to autograph. Man, I was telling. We were talking about that the other day. I was like, boy, won't that be great? Somebody would just like bring it to me and I'll just sign away. Right. But no, like we put a lot of care and effort into, these boxes, and sometimes it gets crazy. Sometimes we get a ton of sales all at once, and it's all hands on deck, man. My kids are in the assembly line, right? We're like all working together to get them done, right? So lots of love goes into that. But yeah, the math thing is funny because I actually got the idea from another author friend of mine. He had this kind of like, it's almost like a kindergarten map of the states, right? Where it had like the state capital, and that was like it, right? On each of the states. And I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. That's kind of cute. And then I was like, I could do that. And then I was like, but we could do like, and then I started getting ideas. And I was like, but we could do like a map that has like cities and stuff on it, and then we'd be able to like put it exactly where each person's city is, right? And then because we'd be able to find where it is and blah blah. And then we started going crazy, and people got really excited about it. They were like, "Oh, I love fantasy. Your book looks awesome. I want to be on that.
I
That'd
wanna
be fun.
Yeah,
That'd be great. Yeah, let's get
Nice.
my city. And it's been so much fun and so crazy sometimes because sometimes we buy the books in like batches of 100, right?
Okay.
And then we buy like 20 or so of the preludes collection, right? So we just got stock in just today. No, yesterday. We just got stock in yesterday. We packed some more this morning. But we get them in batches of 100, and sometimes it's like, whew, they're gone like the next day or 2 days after, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we got so many boxes to pack. This is great. Like, this is wonderful, but oh my gosh, everybody stop everything. We got to pack boxes tonight. Like, it's just, it gets crazy. And then sometimes it's like, I'm in the double digits now behind on map pin videos, right?
Wow.
Because
Yeah.
it's just, there's so many pins and you can only fit so many in a video.
Dang.
And it's just, it gets wild. And so sometimes I'll get people going like, well, I bought mine the other day, like 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm sick, I'm catching up. Like, I was almost dead for like 2.5 weeks. Like, I'm still catching up, guys.
Wow.
So, sometimes it gets a little crazy, but it's been a really fun thing that people get behind, and they're willing to take a chance on a new author. And so it's been a really cool marketing thing. Yeah.
That's so cool. I love the way that your fans are kind of like interacting with you in that way, and they're kind of excited for it. They're thinking the map is that's super super rad. So what has been is and if that's it, cool. But what has been kind of your favorite kind of piece of marketing that you've done so far?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the map has been great because I think, well, I mean, every author wants to sell books, right? So the map marketing does really well, and it sold us a lot of books. I just posted a video today on TikTok that we sent out our 500th book, autographed book of Stone and Sky in the TikTok shop. And that's just TikTok shop sales, right? So that's not counting our, our website sales or anything. It was literally just the 500th TikTok order of that book, which was so cool, right?
Yeah.
And so we got to post that today. So that's really exciting, right? Of course, that's really exciting. Some of my favorite ones are almost don't even have anything to do with my book itself. It's just the goofy videos that are really fun to do because people laugh and they joke and they have fun with you, and and it gathers more people into your sphere, right? And it's fun, and it's like doing something fun rather than I gotta go market. Like a lot of authors, it's like marketing. I get it, but also, if you make it fun, it's more fun for you, and it's more fun for everybody else. So
I put too much on my plate in November, and I wasn't able to kind of continue this, but I started doing like little videos that were NaNoWriMo encouragement videos for other authors.
Yeah.
But one of the early ones, maybe on the first or second, whatever, one of the early ones was I did a like a Weird Al version of Let's Get Down to Business from Mulan, but about writing a book, and it was fun. I enjoy the silly fun stuff is always a good time, right?
And you always get some great interaction, and that's where you're marketing, but you're not marketing, you're connecting. Right? And that has been the best part about it, is the connecting. I've made so many connections with other authors, with avid readers, just because of my interactions with them on TikTok and Instagram, and now Twitter after somebody convinced me to revive my Twitter.
Right. That's right. Yeah. I love that though. How, marketing is about connecting. Oh, so good, especially for authors. I mean, I think that's the most important thing.
Because think about it though, like really, you can market your book and throw ads up and all sorts of stuff, and you'll gather people, but it might not be the people that are like in your same space, like on your same wavelength, like in your same vibe, right? It's like, look, I write this epic fantasy adventure, right? It's not going to be this grimdark, Game of Thrones, or it's not going to be, some of these other things that you think it is. Or it's not going to be romanticy, right? It's not going to be ACOTAR, right? It's not going to be all these things that this is what it is, right? And when you're connecting with people and people get to know who you are and your space and your vibe and what you're about, they recognize that. And what happens is they go and read your book and they love it. Why? Because they're already like what you're about. And when you write what you're about.
Right.
Period.
Right.
In the story.
Yeah. Love that. Nice. We're getting like a marketing masterclass here too, which is great. That's amazing though, that you've sold 500 just from TikTok. Like, wow, I really need to get on TikTok,
Yeah. The TikTok shop has been something else, especially because what has been happening is they just rolled out the TikTok shop this summer, right?
Oh, really?
And so there's been a lot of features in the US, excuse me. But we are in the US region, right? So that's where you would be selling books. And they just rolled out the TikTok shop this summer. And so they've been putting a lot of their own money where their mouth is. We want TikTok shop to be successful. We'll give people discounts if they want to like make their first purchase on TikTok, right? I've had people buy my book for like $7 and I'm like, how'd you do that? But then I realized, TikTok fronted the other whatever, they fronted that and they fronted your shipping cost or whatever. So like, it's prime time to do it because there are so many extra added benefits, right? That buyers are getting. And so you're getting people jumping on board and saying, I'll buy something from TikTok. And then once they're in, they're like, hey, I trust it. And boom, it's pretty great. I can't speak. I have had several conversations with other authors about setting up their own TikTok shops because apparently what I'm doing is working, and other people are like, dude, how are you doing this? Okay, talk to me. And so, we're doing, virtual coffees like this, let's have a chat. I'll tell you everything I'm doing. And now, how are you doing this though? Because that's what and it's great. Right. I love the writer community.
Yeah. Wow. Sharing that page mage knowledge, I get it. That's awesome. But 500 books, man, for a debut on just one platform, like, right? That is,
Since September, I think September 7th was when we launched the TikTok shop.
That's crazy, man. Kudos, bravo.
Yeah, right.
Bravo.
It's wonderful. Yeah, right. It's so good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been so grateful, and it's honestly, the fact of the matter is it took a lot of work to set up all that stuff and to set up a foundation, right?
Right.
It's not like I just got on TikTok and started selling books. Like the next day, I started my TikTok account in February, right? And I did everything strategically. I didn't even post for several weeks while I was training the algorithm to know what my account was about. It's all about fantasy book talk stuff. It's all about fantasy this and fantasy that and fantasy that, to just make sure that the algorithm knew. And by the time I posted my first post, hey, I'm looking for my, I'm new around here. I'm looking for my, fantasy besties on TikTok. And sure enough, I had my first 1,000, just because you lay the foundation, right? Yeah. You lay the foundation and then you work the foundation and then you work on top of it.
It seems like kind of gathering followers on TikTok seems faster than a lot of other platforms.
And that's because TikTok. So what TikTok does is it actually doesn't send it to your followers. So like if I was
it's that curated algorithm.
If it sent it to all my followers, I'd see 33,000 views every every post, right? Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
But I don't. It's because they send it out to new people, right?
Right.
And that's what's great about TikTok is it's a gathering place, right? So you're out there gathering new friends, but you're bringing them into a place that's already set up and ready to receive them. So your website, your readers list, the place where you gather them all together.
Yeah.
Right. So you gather them in TikTok. Come here. But then you bring them all together in one place with your website and your readers list, right?
Yes.
So,
Smart, man.
When you know what it's for, and you use it for what it's for, it's hard not to be successful for it.
Okay. Tell me honestly though, how often are you like on social media when like you could be doing something else? Like,
gosh. Okay, so I'm not a scroller.
really?
I'm
Okay,
not.
all right.
Yeah. So a funny thing about me is my Twitter was almost dead. My Instagram was almost dead. I didn't have a TikTok up until February. I mean, I didn't use social media. My Facebook was probably dead. I mean, people knew I existed. They were like, "Oh, he's still my friend. He must still be alive," right? You're like, or they saw posts from my wife, right? Like,
sure.
So, like, I'm not actually. I am not actually wired as a social media user.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it's not something I use personally at all. And so when I started this journey, and back in September, it was like part of okay, here's what we got to do. We got to set up this. We got to set up this. We got to set up this. Got all the website and the readers list, and started getting the reader magnets ready, and then started the TikTok, so that I was already ready to and prepared to receive them. Right. I almost never scroll, to be honest. I'll go on there sometimes, and I try to do it a little bit now, just because I have other author friends who are trying to, they're posting their stuff. Of course, I want to go see you. Hey, yeah, man, that's awesome, great job.
Yeah.
So I try to do that a little bit now. But I mean, if I'm on social media, most of the time, it's because I'm editing something to go up, right? So yeah. I don't really fall into that trap. I'm kind of an anomaly that way, I think.
Well done. Yeah. You can't fall into that trap and be a page mage. I guess those are they're
no. So you got to spend time somewhere. So
right. All right. I got one more thing I want to talk about a little bit. You co-hosted a video game podcast? You got to tell me everything about this.
Yes, yeah. So it's called the Backlog Gamers Podcast.
Okay.
And you can find us on YouTube. We're on a little bit of a hiatus. We got shadow banned.
Oh no.
It was at the end of the summer. It was at the end of the summer. We got shadow banned.
What'd you do?
We did a reaction video to like the new Walking Dead trailer for Daryl Dixon, right?
Okay.
And we did a reaction video, which should be covered under fair use because we're reacting to the video that they already posted for the world to see. Okay. Anyways, it got copyright struck, and so we were like, okay, well, I mean, what's going on there? And so we like, no, it should be good under fair use. I mean, I don't understand what the problem is. Well, I think it was AMC decided that they didn't want to let us have it, so we got like a hardcore shadow ban, and so our numbers tanked for weeks and weeks, and finally they started picking up, but it was also at a weird time where kids were all in school and sports and everything else, so it was like, you know what, let's just take a little break. And now we're kind of discussing maybe we should think seasonal kind of thing. Maybe we'll do it in seasons or whatever. But the Backlog Gamers Podcast, I do it with a good friend of mine. He's an old Air Force buddy of mine, and so both vets, both like games, both like stories, and we have a really good time over there.
Nice. So like, it's the premise kind of that you guys go and play kind of older games and discuss the story?
Yeah, so backlog games, right? So we're the Backlog Gamers, and of course, if you're a gamer, you got like 60 games on your, Xbox or your Switch or whatever, and you haven't played them all.
Right.
And especially if you're a dad or, if you got kids or whatever, right? Whatever your situation, you probably got a lot of games that and we're the same way. So we started Backlog Gamers, and we're like, let's talk about games. You know what? This game was really popular a year ago, but we never got to it. You guys want to play with us? Like, let's go.
That's rad.
And so we do a lot of that. We talk about news and stuff like that too. And we're always enjoying and laughing over hot takes that not everybody agrees with. And it's good. It's just good fun. We have fun. We don't. We try to keep all the negativity away and just have fun with it.
That's super fun. I want to do kind of the same thing, but like there's so many games that have such good stories, and I want to go like and play some of these older games and like really kind of look at the story. The Mass Effect series, I played the first and the second, but I never played the third, or Knights of the Old Republic, which is super old school, and like I never played it. You know, I got to get into it.
There's so many good games out there. I mean, they've been making games for us for 50,
our whole lives, right?
60, our whole lives, right? It's been, so it's there's so much good storytelling too in video games. In a lot of video games. I wouldn't say every video game, but like a lot of video games have really great stories. So
right. And that's the thing that I would want to focus, because like usually when I do play a game, generally when I'm just playing a game just for fun, I'm playing something online, and it's usually like a way for me to kind of hang out with like my brother, or like friend.
Veg and hang out with a friend. Yeah, totally.
But I want to get through some of those stories, man.
Yeah, right. Most of the time we're just like, it's our only time hanging out together, so we'll just sit on and play Overwatch or Rocket League or whatever, you know, like just something to veg and, you know, chat and hang out. But we started doing like a game of the month kind of thing, and we were like, no, like let's knock out a game on our backlog every month, you know, with the community and stuff. And so we actually started getting through some of the story games, and it was really fun.
That's rad, man. I'm gonna check that out. I would definitely be like a listener for that pod. Yeah. Cool. Well, Zach, what a delight. Well, thank you again for the box, and thank you for chatting with me. Where can people find and follow you online, Zach?
Yeah. So you can find me at zsdiamanti.com. And because I know that is so ridiculously hard to spell, and everybody's like, I have no idea what Diamanti, what is that? You can also, I've got free preludes, 7 free preludes about characters that you meet in Stone and Sky in this series, and even some of them are coming back in book 2 and 3. I'm just throwing that out there. But 7 free prelude stories about characters you meet in the Stone and Sky series, and you can find those at freefantasyfiction.com. Way easier to spell than zsdiamanti.com, I know. But it's also attached to my website, so you'll be able to find all my social links and all my other stuff. Wherever you want to connect, you'll be able to connect with me there. So.
What a great domain, dude. freefantasyfiction.com. Like,
I know. I was so thrilled when I found it. I was like, oh, all right.
Perfect. Yeah.
Mine. Thank you.
That's good stuff. All right. The page mage himself, ZS Diamanti. Thank you. Had such a good time talking with you. I hope you all have had a good time hanging out and listening to our conversation too. If you like this, of course, give me that like and subscribe. Really helps me out with the algorithm, helps other people check out the page mage also. And if no one's told you today, you're an absolute legend.
That's right.